Oh gran espíritu de amor. Oh gran espíritu de amor. Llénanos con tu luz, llena nuestros corazones, llénanos con tu luz, llena nuestros corazones. Tonight, Tuesday, 8 p.m. All right, I'm a little bit late. We start with some updates in English from Cunha, because I know there are a lot of people asking what's going on, and what I feel, and I was talking to some members of our team, this operation is so huge that I understand that sometimes we cannot even imagine what's going on. Because when we are talking about one master animal in vulnerability, it's already something that we understand that is a lot of work. But now let's think about over 300 of them, over 300 sick, vulnerable, in pain, in agony, having been left to die alone, without eating, without drinking any water. So we can imagine how much work it is. But honestly, again, it's just so huge that I realize people need more time understanding what's going on. First, before talking about this, I want to apologize because last week we had unfortunately, one of our master dogs, the one that had been hit by a car before coming to the sanctuary. Unfortunately, he is not doing well. He was not doing well, and we could not open up this live stream, so I apologize. But again, what's going on today in Cunha? So let's get it straight. We are talking about over 300 master cows and bulls, but children. We're not talking just about male, we are not talking just about female, and we are talking about a crime. This needs to be understood as well. This is not something that happened because it was just something out of somebody's control. No, it was negligence. It was something that was rooted on selfishness. Selfishness in the sense of treating them as means to gain money, to make money, without never ever seeing them as beings. And they are children. They are scared. They didn't have the privilege to be with their mothers. So they are weak, and not just physically weak, emotionally as well. So when we are talking about healing a being, it doesn't matter if we are talking about a master dog, a master bull, or even a human. We cannot just consider their physical bodies or our physical bodies, because there is much more that hurts when the physical body has a disease. This needs to be understood, because again, sometimes we tend to think that certain things are just and only for humans. And when it comes to master animals, we are just here celebrating that people understand that they can feel pain and pleasure, but we don't understand many times, often, even vegans, that they need social care as well. They need emotional care. They need to heal their souls. Can you imagine just like being a child without your mom, without any food, without any water, along with other children who don't know what to do either, screaming for mercy and nobody listening to your pain? Can you imagine how much it hurts in the heart, without talking about what's going on in their bodies? Just now we left a video, a reels, showing one of them. When we're talking about over 300 in that condition, again, we can understand it's a lot of work. Another detail that I wanted to give you, that this didn't happen in our town. This town, Cunha, is about 200 miles from here. And the thing is, because they are so vulnerable, because their bodies are so weak, they cannot travel. So right now we have 2 operations. We have one here and another one in Cunha. I am here at the sanctuary with volunteers, with our team, and Vitor, my husband, and also a guardian of the sanctuary, is there with another team. So it means that we have 2 costs right now, one here and another there. And the one there is almost as expensive as this one here. So we need help. We need help, especially in this beginning, because right now there we have 4 employees. Besides 4 employees, we have 3 vet doctors, because only one, we cannot, it's just like over 300 again. Over 300 sick, over 300 in pain, over 300 almost dying. So just one vet doctor, we need more. So we have 3 of them there, we have 4 employees, and we have our volunteers, our team, going back and forth to help this operation. But we need help, because right now they are in a space that the city count allowed them to do. But because it's in the middle of the city, it's in the center of the city, people at that city are asking us to take them someplace else, but again, they cannot travel. So can we understand all these aspects of this operation? It's not just something about, okay, let's celebrate, they are safe. They are not safe until they recover. And of course, we're talking about a crime, so we are talking about about judging a human in court. We are talking about lawyers, we are talking about doctors, we are talking about a team, we are talking about something very big. And something that we could have prevented if we as humans, if we had stopped exploiting them for our food, for our dresses, for our whatever you can think about. Because every time that we're talking about a master animal providing something for humans, we are talking about exploitation. It doesn't matter if you're talking about milk, meat, cheese, leather, it doesn't matter. We're talking about exploitation. And when it happens, it will lead them to suffer, either because they have been abandoned, as happened in Cunha, or because they're going to be sent to their death. A death that could be avoided, a death that they couldn't resist, in the sense of there is a difference when we're talking about killing and we're talking about dying. When we say death, it's the same word for killing and dying. But we need to understand that master animals, their death is not because they are dying in the world, it's because we are killing them. We humans, we are killing them, and not because we are bad people, I don't believe this. We are killing because we have become so selfish, so absolutely focused just in our lives that we ignore everyone and everything else. And this needs to change. So when we are talking about this, I would like us to think that we can avoid this situation. And the way to avoid this kind of situation is to look at our habits, everyday habits. We eat 3 times a day, 1 time a day. We are lucky people. There are people at war right now. People who do not have the privilege to eat or to choose what to eat. We have this privilege and we need to use it well. And how do we do this? We do this paying attention. We do this, there is a word, it's actually a training, let's say like this. It's called mindfulness. We need to pay attention in what we are doing. We need to be in the present moment. Otherwise, we are going to eat meat just because our grandma gave to our mothers and our mother gave to us, and that's fine. And we keep on doing things that are just putting this word, this whole world and every single earthling, putting us to a life that we are going to not be proud of remembering. Because it's a shame when we do things, I believe we are good people. And we do not to be remembered by having killed someone or having caused pain to someone. But this is what we are doing. This is what we are doing to the forests. This is what we are doing to other humans. This is what we are doing at war. This is what we are doing with master animals. This is what we are doing. So I ask ourselves just to look at our hearts and realize what kind of human have we become? And what kind of human do we want to remember when we are about to leave? So again, in Cunha we are talking about a crime, but we also need to talk about humans in the sense of how to avoid this, because this operation is just something huge. It's not something that, okay, we got there, they are safe now, over 300, and let's come to our sanctuary. It's not like this. This operation is going to take at least 6 months. At least 6 months. Meaning that it will take this time, it will happen in the course of 6 months, even more, can be more, just for them to come to our sanctuary. But again, right now they are in a public space that the city count allowed them to stay. But that population, that city population, is asking us to take them out. But they cannot come here. So what's the solution? We are going to have another place to leave them during few months before they can come here. It means, again, a huge operation and a huge amount of money. And that's why we are asking for your help. We are asking for your help to support both of operations. We have one operation here in Camanducaia, and right now we have this other operation in Cunha. When things happen, when they recover is not the proper way to say actually, because we cannot say how long it will take for them to recover. Damage to their bodies have been so cruel that we cannot say, okay, in 2 months they're going to be well. We don't know. What we do know is that if everything goes well, in the course of 6 months, they can come to our sanctuary. And what will happen then? Because right now we have here over 140. So how we are going to accommodate over 300, 332? How we're going to do this? Because it will be like almost 500. Then I'm going to leave here another idea for you to think about. The way that we are going to do this is we are going to open up to a chance for us to learn. So the sanctuary will hold more and more courses, more and more retreats, yoga retreats. We are going to hold even vegan, plant-based nutrition courses here. Why this? Because we cannot forget that I said it once and I'm going to repeat this. No sanctuary works like this, and I cannot of course talk about every single sanctuary around the world, but I can guess, knowing this work here, that if we think that a sanctuary arrived in one place and now all master animals are safe and we don't need to worry about that, we need to think it over. Because when a sanctuary goes to a disaster or to rescue a innocent, it's just starting. It's starting a journey that will take years to complete. So every single sanctuary needs help to provide a service that cannot end. And this I speak for our sanctuary. Our service cannot end on rescuing the victims. It cannot. We need to rescue human beings. And that's why education is so important. I know that many people don't live where I live, don't live in a farm, live in a city or in a big city or a small city, but don't live in a farm. And many people don't see that water is disappearing from the face of earth. What many people don't see is that when we are in summertime, right, just right now, it's been just so warm. It's been just so hot. And then we go to our winter, and it's the dry season, and it's drier than ever. So what I'm trying to say is that because we have messed up with the climate, we are going to face problems with our environment. And these problems and these challenges, as the whole occurrence in Cunha, can be avoided if we look at our habits. And this is what I am asking you to do. When we are talking about helping a sanctuary, helping our sanctuary, or helping another sanctuary, or helping an organization that looks after children, we cannot just say, okay, I'm going to donate to this organization that looks after children, and I'm fine. I can just ignore children in the streets. I can just beat them up, or I can just give a bad example because I am helping that organization. It doesn't work like that. Do you agree? We need to help, of course, but we need to give the example. And the example that we can give when we are talking about protecting the environment and protecting master animals, the example that we need to give is to look at our habits. And every single habit that has some sort of exploitation needs to be cut off, needs to disappear from our lives. Because this is how we, as human beings, this is how we destroy the environment. This is how we destroy other beings' lives. This is how we make water disappear from the face of earth. This is how. And this is how we changing ourselves. So of course, again, we need help to support this operation. But it's not just like that, just saying, okay, I'm going to help and everything is going to be okay. No, we need to look at ourselves. We need to rescue human beings. But there is a very strange thing when we talk about rescuing human beings. Because when we are talking rescuing a master animal, for example, right now, there is this cutie here who's being rescued, and we bring her here and we give her love and she loves back and everything's fine because her soul is free, because her soul heals much faster because they love unconditionally. When we are talking about humans, I cannot rescue another human being. I can inspire, I can provide information, I can try to educate, I can try to be humble and learn even from the one who is doing things that I do not agree. I can do a lot of things, but I cannot rescue another human being. I cannot save another human. I cannot. This is the tricky thing, because only each one of us can rescue ourselves. And this is something to be remembered, because many times we go around as if we could do this for another being, another human. We can do this for them because of the condition that we put them on this earth. But we cannot do this for humans. We can work with humans, and this is a contribution that we need to do to this world. We need to do this to inspire change. We need to work with one another. So when we are talking about a person that absolutely doesn't have a clue about what's going on with the environment, or doesn't make a connection with what's going on with the environment and with what that person is eating, we need to work with that person to let that person know the connection. But we cannot make the decision for that person. We can work with that person. But the trick thing is, as we go through disasters, as we go through seeing things on the face of this earth, eventually what happens is that we give up on humans. And then we don't save them, as I was saying in the first example, and worse, we don't work with them anymore. And if we don't work with them anymore, everything's over. Because where they are going to go to find the information that each one of us learned. So we cannot give up. So I don't know how sad you are, how frustrated you are, how depressed you are. I'm just saying, I'm just asking, I'm just praying that you do not give up. Because if you do, it's not just something that you are making a decision for yourself. Your presence in the world, or the lack of your presence in this world, is going to allow bad things to happen. Because you could have inspired someone. You could have believed in someone that after knowing what you have to say, that person changed. Or even if he or she didn't change, but at least she or he considered or listened to something different. So there are many, many things that a situation like this talks about. And again, we need help. We need financial support to continue to provide to those beings that, again, we are talking about a city count, a public space. We talk about over 300 of them. We are talking about 6 months. We are talking about many, many things, but we are also talking about humans. And we are also talking about our willingness to fight, instead of looking at this word, complaining, and just turning our back. We don't have this privilege anymore. If we do this word is going to come to an end. And it's, in a sense, it's a good thing, because this word needs to end. But needs to end in the subtle form. What does it mean? The way that we are going, the word is ending in terms of species, in terms of water, in terms of trees, of forests. And what needs to end is the subtle aspect of this word. What does it mean? Our thoughts, our self-destructive thoughts needs to come to an end. Because when they do, we stop creating destruction in the world. The war that we have inside our hearts, it must end. So war in the world will end. So the subtle aspect of this word needs to come to an end. But what we are doing is wrong. Is wrong in the sense that we are just watching the world, the physical world, species again, water, resources. We are just allowing them to end. When in truth, what needs to end is the subtle aspect of ourselves that contribute to this world to be the way that it is. Does it make sense? We need to change. We need to end in ourselves all kinds of evil that if we don't look at, if we pretend that it doesn't exist, if we pretend that it's not, that has nothing to do with our lives, what happens is that we put this into the world. And we do this by our actions. We do this by our tongue. We do this by the way we move in this world. So this is the second contribution. We need to prevent disasters. And this is very, very uncomfortable. Because when I'm talking about disaster, it's always something that it's happening there. You know, it's just like, it's across the street. It's outside my home. It's there. It's somebody that I can complain, that I can point fingers. It's there. And I'm so sorry for the victims, but it's there. When we are talking about a personal change, this is uncomfortable because we see that the problem is not there, it's here. It's in the way that we have been taught, the way that we have been teaching children how to live. And this is uncomfortable because then we need to change. It's not about the world changing, it's about us changing. So I ask you for both contributions. I ask you to help organizations and not say, okay, just help our sanctuary. Help organizations. Help organizations in your city, in your town, in your country, help organizations. Organizations that look after the environment, that look after master animals, that look after children, that look after women, that look after gays, that look after... Just help. This is one part. But then the second contribution is Be the example. Give this example to the world. Because without example, we might look like adults, but we are children. We are spiritual children. And we need to have examples. That's why philosophy works so well when we are talking about a myth, for example. Because we are learning by example, by a being. For example, when we go to Hindu scriptures and we look at Rama, for instance, and we look at him and say, oh wow, he's so strong and he's so right, he's walking the path of righteousness. And we have that example, and because we have this spiritual child, we look at him and we say, I want to be like him, even though that he's in a Hindu scripture, even though that he's part of a myth. So what I'm trying to say is that the same way that children, when we look on and we are adult, we just look the size of our bodies and we say who is children, and we count the years and we say who is a child and who is not a child. But in the spiritual sense, just because we are here on earth, we are spiritual children. And the way that we learn is not by somebody telling us something, but it's about example. It's about seeing somebody doing things that we thought impossible, for instance. I thought it was impossible to live without protein coming from lives of master animals. And then I see someone living in health and in a good mood and with energy, and I say, okay, this is possible. It's not something that I read in a book or that I read in a book. It's there in front of me. And that example is just so powerful that inspires change. Does it make sense? So we need just true contributions. Yes, we need to support organizations all over the world. I'm not talking again, just saying, okay, we need help here and then just let's ignore everyone else. Everyone is working, everyone needs help. Fine. But then we need to give example. We need to allow our children to see other kind of adults. And not a sad one that just goes after pleasure because it's not happy, that goes after money for security, when there is no one safe in this world, in a spiritual sense. Of course, we can feel safe right now if we are not in a war zone. We can feel safer than those people, but yet we are not safe. This world is a not safe place. And if we put our values in things of this world, we are going to get frustrated at some point, because this world cannot make us happy. This world cannot make us safe. This world cannot, no, it cannot. But we can be safe inside of us. We can be safe saying, okay, I am going to do whatever is in my power, to give a good example. And then I feel safe. Because I am content. It's not happiness, it's contentment. I am content with myself. And then I experience another type of joy. It's not a happiness or a joyful moment that just comes and goes. It's just something that I live with, even when I'm sad, even when I am frustrated, because I know I'm doing the right thing. And other people around me needs to see this. And then when I am weak, I look around and I see somebody doing what I thought I wasn't strong anymore to do. And I get strong again. And this is why it's so powerful. This is why it's so absolutely powerful to teach with our actions, to teach others taking action instead of just talking to them about problems. We need to pay attention to this, because sometimes we think that just because we are discussing problems, we are solving them. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes talking about problems is just a way of venting or feeling better, but doesn't solve real problems. Can solve imaginary problems, the ones that when we vent, they disappear. I'm talking here about real problems. I'm talking here about master animals dying, and again, not dying because they're natural death. I'm talking about they being killed because of our ignorance. I'm talking about the forests. I'm talking about water. I'm talking about war. I'm talking about all these things that are happening again inside of us. And because we don't deal with them here, we put them, we manifest them in the world, because then we can deal with them. Does it make sense? Because it's very subtle to look inside and it is uncomfortable again. But when I don't do, I just put them in the word and then I can deal with them because I see, I hear, I feel. It's different. I feel with my body, not with my soul. When it's inside, we feel as well. But we feel with our gut. We don't feel with our touch. So again, this is the second contribution. Give the example. Give the example for a better word, because it's in need. About Cunha again, the next week, I think I'm going to have another update in the sense of the city count, this public space, there's over 300 there, even though that they cannot travel to our sanctuary. I do believe that we are going to transport them inside the city. So we are talking about 2 miles, because I'm going to repeat this again, they cannot travel. If they go to this other place, then we are going to have a different operation. Right now, everything that they eat, we need to give them. They do not have pasture. Where they are right now, in the city count, the public space that the city count allowed them to be, they do not have pasture. So if we don't give food to them, they don't have anything. But let's remember that even if we are successful, taking them to this other place 2 miles away from the place that they are right now, even though that this place has pasture, they cannot live just by pasture right now because they are very, very, very weak. We need to give them other types of food, of special food, for them to overcome malnutrition. It will have to happen. So in the same sense, we are going to ask for your help. And I put here 2 ways to help. I wish you could help both ways. And in the first alternative, I say again, it's not something just, okay, just help us now and let's ignore everything else that's happening in the world. We cannot. We need to help people fighting to get away from the war zone, for example, right now. We need to help organizations in just like fighting with their own bodies almost to get people and master animals out of these war zones. We need to help. So I'm not saying, okay, just help our sanctuary. I'm saying, let's help. Let's help the world to get better. There are organizations around the world trying to make this world better. And fine, this we're talking about the victims. But now how we talk about preventing new victims. This is the part again that we give the example. I wish you can help in both ways. I wish you can do both. I wish you can help, you can support financially or being a volunteer or whatever you can think about, and you can give the example. But sometimes you can only make one or the other. That doesn't matter. Just don't judge yourself. Don't say, okay, I cannot do everything, so I'm going to do nothing. This is something that the ego is very, very good at. The ego says, if I cannot have it all, I don't want anything. So if I cannot give the example and financially support an organization, I'm just going to forget all this conversation and I'm going to have my sandwich and my cheeseburger and whatever. I'm just going to forget about what it means for the forest, for human health, and for master animals. Because I cannot give everything that I want to give, so I'm just going to give up. The ego, our egos, are very good at this. Are very, very good. And we need, again, to look at ourselves and say, okay, let's be humble. What can I do right now? What's the example that I can do? Sometimes the example that we can do is just not going mad in this world. It's just being calm. It's just keeping our sanity. I don't know how you see this, but I realize that times are very intense and people are missing. We are missing. We are starting to miss our lucidity. So sometimes the example that we give is not about, okay, we are going to get there not eating anything from master animals' lives, but sometimes it starts at a deep breath. And then people around you can take a deep breath, and when we are calm, and when we are breathing, and when we are looking at the world with a little bit more of mindfulness, as I said, when we are looking at the world from a center point, center not meaning that we are the center, but from our heart, and not just reacting to the world, then sometimes it is an example that we can give, because when we have this tranquility, we can see things as they are, instead of seeing ourselves projected all around us. So it's an important thing to remember as well. And again, if you cannot do everything that you wish, just be humble. Be humble. What can you do? What kind of example you can do? What kind of support you can provide to an organization? No, I do not want to talk about war anymore, because I cannot go to Russia right now and talk to the president. So I'm not going to talk about anything. So I just don't know. I don't want to know anything about politics anymore, because I cannot do that. Okay, what can you do? Because you can do something in your town. You can do something for your country. You can do something for your neighborhood. You can do something. So I think it's something about humbleness again. We need to learn to be humble. We need to look at the world and realize that just so much to do. And be humble and say, okay, I cannot do it all by myself. When this whole thing happened last week, Jetsuma Tens em Palmo left a talk, or gave a talk, saying that one of the lessons that we can have right now, one is strength, because when we go through very hard times, we discover that we are stronger than we thought. And the other teaching that she shared was very meaningful for me as well, and I believe for many people, because again, she's a master and she's just amazing. Jetsuma Tens em Palmo. And she was talking that we need to learn in these difficult times to help one another. When everything is well, we don't have this opportunity. And I pray that we don't need war. I pray that we don't need over 300 master calves to make us think about how we can help each other. I do hope that we can develop this in our hearts just by unconditional love. But if this is happening right now, let's try to learn. Let's try to evolve. Let's try to help. So the second thought that she shared was about this. Let's learn to help one another. Let's look after one another. Because right now, everyone has a special need. I'm not talking just about master animals. People, again, we humans, we are losing our sanity. Because there's just so much. And people are getting sad, and people are getting depressed, and people are thinking about giving up. And people are not being the example. And people are not believing. People are giving up hope. So just look at yourself and think, okay, what kind of example I can give to this world that I can, being humble again. I'm humble, I know that there's much to do, but I cannot do it all. What can I do? And then, how can I help others? How can I help others? This needs to be a question for us to ask every single day. And usually our society, it has an inversion on this, because our society, it raises us to be successful in the sense of how others can serve me. And we need to place it back to the spiritual sense. The spiritual sense means we are here to serve others. How do our lives make others' beings' lives easier? I'd like us to ask this question every single day. How do we make it better for the others? And this is difficult because all society talking about something else, talking about okay, I'm going to be successful when I have many people and many beings serving me. And this is part of the illusion, because then I realize that I can never be happy in this kind of system. But I can be very happy when some way, somehow, I'm used, each one of us, when we are used as vehicles for the happiness of the others. So just let's ask this question every single day. What's the example that I can give to the world? I'm humble, I know that I cannot do everything actually, but I can do something. What can I do? And then the second question is, how do I serve others? With the financial resources that I have, with the health that I have, with the age I am, with whatever. How do I serve others? And I'm sure that if we go through this, we're going to have a better world. Not because the world itself is going to change, but because we are changing. We are changing. We keep going out there in the world, trying to change things. And things, okay, we can move one thing from this place to this other place, or from here to there, or whatever. We can do this. But truly, things will change when we change. Otherwise, we keep messing up because we're just moving things around, but we are not changing ourselves. When we change ourselves, things fall into place. I think this is basically what I wanted to talk about, this huge operation and these thoughts about what's happening right now in Cunha and what is happening right now inside of us. Let's try to fix here, and then we are going to fix in the world. But let's remember that while we don't fix here, victims are everywhere, and we need to alleviate their suffering. So help organizations around the world. There is just so much going on right now, and organizations need help. But on the second part of it, let's prevent victims. And we do this changing ourselves. And I know you have the power to do so. Even if you're tired, even if you're sad, even if you can. Just do not give up. Sometimes we think that we cannot do because we don't realize that we have given up. And if we realize that we cannot do because we give up, then we're just like, okay, I'm not going to give up. Because it's not just something about us. It's not something that I can say, I give up, life goes on. When we give up, others will suffer because we could have provided a good impact to their lives. So please do not give up. Find the strength in these difficult times, as Jitsuma said. And let's look after one another. Not everything that we wish to do, we are going to do, because we have limitations. So let's learn to be humble, and yet do what we can. Even if it's the smallest act, like again, being calm in these difficult times. Avoiding meat, avoiding cheese, avoiding any sort of product, so-called products, coming from master animals' lives. Do what you can. I'm sure that you can make this world a better place. And next week, I hope I have more updates here, good updates about Cunha. So Tuesday, 8 p.m. If I get a little bit later than 8, I still show up. And I hope we can continue together, regardless if on Tuesday night or any other day. I hope we can walk together on the face of this earth. Walk softly in beauty, as the Native Americans say and pray. Seeing beauty, preserving beauty. I hope we can do this together. together in the name of love, serving others, making their lives easier, alleviating pain, changing ourselves. This is my prayer for all of us. Thank you very much for listening. And I thank you here. Teresa was here all. Yes, she was here. I think Marcela as well. Karina is here. Many people, good people, caring people. And I'm seeing here somebody asking about the results for, I think it has to do with the 8 billion. There's a promotion that we did. We are going to put on a post probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, but just hang in there. We are going to give this update here. Thank you very much for helping, and I see you soon. I'm just going to sing a little song that talks about filling our hearts with love and hopefully letting this heart send this out to everyone in need, but just cultivate it in you, in all of us, and then it's easier to love another being. Love first needs to come from inside. We need to cultivate this in our hearts, and this is going to be our protection, because when the word comes with rage, with hate, or with disappointment, we have love inside of us, and we are going to change whatever the word sends to us. We are going to change that to good things. Hopefully, again, we don't need to go through awful things to learn good things. But until we don't know how to do this differently, let's just, again, change whatever comes that is called bad through the protection of our hearts, through the love that we feel. This is our protection, and our love also protects others. O gran Espíritu de amor. O gran Espíritu de amor. Llena-nos con tu luz, llena nuestros corazones. Llena-nos con tu luz, llena nuestros corazones. I hope love is through us, guiding us. I hope love is everything that we talk about and that we live by. Thank you.